I have the pleasure to greet people that are in the head table. Dr. Manuel Otero, Director General of AICA, as well as Mr. Emmanuel Picado, ICT Manager in AICA, Mr. Hugo Chavarria, Manager of Innovation and Bioeconomy Program and Technical Coordinator of the Technical Cooperation Directorate of AICA, and also the engineers, Alexis and Carlo Corrales, specialist of the Institute. I also want to greet the speakers who will be participating remotely. And I also want to greet people present here in the room and those who join the meeting remotely from different parts of the world. My name is Karen Montiel, technical expert of Technical Cooperation Directorate. I have the pleasure to moderate this session related to the launch of the Horizontal Cooperation Platform. So let's begin with the inaugural session by Dr. Manuel Otero, General Director of AICA. Go ahead, floor is yours. Thank you, Karen. Good morning, everyone. It is an honor to participate in the launch of this platform of horizontal cooperation as an arm of our policies observatory for the transformation of agri-food systems. I used to begin emphasizing the responsibility and the proud for our region, saying that we are the net food export in our region, the most important one in the world, from Latin America and the Caribbean. If we refer to this, it represents some 15% of the total of exports. If it was America, I mean the totality of country members of AICA, that means 1 out of 3 tons that are exported. We are an important stakeholder in production, and we have to be as well in the care for natural resources. This is sort of a picture, but if we see into the future, we have everything to consolidate ourselves as a region that not only exports commodities, but also knowledge. What is at stake in this platform is to be able to evolve to a region that, besides producing and exporting commodities with a high level of difference, we need to export knowledge. That is why the new areas of applied knowledge, artificial intelligence, data science, and others offer the important opportunity for the region to move from being consumers of technology to receive, to adapt technology that comes from abroad, to become real producers of knowledge and technological solutions promoted from the region, for the region, and of course for the world. This is the challenge. If we come back to the daily reality, we start with some topics that it is important to solve. The first one is the underinvestment that we make in science, technology, and innovation. We invest bad and little. The agenda with the resources available is not linked to the topics that link us to the new border of knowledge. And the ecosystem of institutions that are that constitute the area, the universe of science, technology, and innovation for our region. In some cases, the debate between the glories of the past, and in other cases, it is difficult to progress on a transformation process because the relationship between science and policy sometimes is not the optimal one. But what is clear is this is the time of agriculture. The scientific future of the region will depend on how we share the data, skills, infrastructure. And knowledge cannot be in isolation in the labs and institution. An effective transfer is needed, and we need to be at the surface of rural communities, productive communities, building bridges between the rural area and the urban area. It is vital that consumers understand that behind the food that arrives to the supermarket shelf and with clear existence of food that are more nutritional in harmony with nature, there are science and innovation systems that are active, that are capturing the signals, making the changes, and of course, there are farmers in our region. We have them, and I repeat this systematically. We have the 17 million farmers that continue giving life to rurality, and this is something that sometimes is not duly recognized.
E innovación debe ser el puente del campo a la mesa.
Science, technology, and innovation should be a bridge from the field to the table. We need to use new disciplines. And here I introduce the topic. I mentioned the AI again because this is going to be key to reconsider the future of the agriculture of the Americas. ICA has a stock of cooperation tools, and I'm proud for having been related to or linked to Processur that will celebrate 45 years of existence, a mutual cooperation mechanism. The Prosinorte is even younger. It reunites systems of science and innovation of the United States, Canada, Mexico. We have specialized networks such as Promecafe, bioeconomy platforms, bioinputs, and we have Foragro, the platform that, in our view, must be this grouping effect by promoting South-South cooperation, sharing more information and data, results of research for the benefit of the life quality of our countries. I don't want to forget, I don't want to generate a diplomatic incident with Fontagro, along with IDB, is Peter of Fontagro, who have more than 13, 15 countries there. And this is important. Coming back to AI, last month, ICA has made a decision, which is to progress on a regional strategy of AI, conceiving AI as a catalyst of the sustainable development and a tool that, well used or used correctly, can reduce social gaps, strengthen agricultural governance under the ethical approach focused on people. The key will depend on us, meaning that we need to have a more cooperative attitude, open data, investment in endogenous capacities, and the design of responsible policies. The strategy, regional strategy in AI is not negotiable. We're going to continue progressing, and in the coming month that I have before concluding my mandate, I commit myself that there will be progress that could be verified. And I believe this is a no return point, thinking in the future of a more sustainable development for our region. Probably from AI topics, I see my friend Jose Emilio Barrero will be addressed with in greater detail, but I would like to reiterate once again the horizontal cooperation between countries in the Americas, where we offer Furago as a catalyst that could transform and generate a more virtuous circle in this regional ecosystem of science, technology, and innovation.
Y en donde, insisto, con el uso de la inteligencia.
And I insist with the use of AI in agro, which is a digital tool and also an important opportunity for regional cooperation. There is someone very energetic, Professor Jack Bobon. He is currently part of the group of UCLA teachers, professors that always emphasizes that the transformations that will take place in the coming 25 years in agriculture, closely related to AI, will be equal or higher than the ones of the last 10,000 years. Here we are discussing the launch of this horizontal cooperation platform. So the future, what is it that we want from the future? What do we deserve? And not the future imposed from abroad. So, and we need to be more solidary together and offer things with relative advantages to build this regional cooperation platform that is in such a great need for the region. Karen, I'm gonna stay for a while to learn from the presentations we're gonna have. And I repeat, AICA is fully committed with this initiative. Thank you. Thank you so much, Director, for the welcome and the welcome remarks. I have the privilege to introduce the conference of this session by that will be by Dr. Jose Emilio Guerrero. He is a professor of the Cordova University in Spain. He is also a chair and advisor of the International Chair of AI and Agriculture. This chair is focused in applying AI to modernize agriculture, to promote the strengthening of innovation ecosystems, to promote digital solutions in the agri sector, and also to emphasize the combination of agricultural knowledge and digital knowledge to optimize decisions and to face environmental challenges. Dr. Guerrero give us some reflections about the AI in the agri-food chain and the rural world in Latin America and the Caribbean. Go ahead, Mr. Jose Emilio. Welcome and thank you for participating with us today. Thank you, Karen.
Don José Emilio, si gusta
Sí.
puede compartir su pantalla.
If you want, you can share your screen.
No, no se ve.
I'm sharing it. Do you see? Not
La
yet.
compartí, sí. Voy a ver.
I shared it already, so let me check what is happening.
Ahora.
Ahora sí.
Okay, now we are seeing your screen.
Perfecto. Muchísimas
Good.
gracias.
Thank you so
Buenos
much.
días a todos.
Good
Muchísimas
morning,
gracias
everyone.
por la oportunidad
Thank you
de
for the
compartir
opportunity to
con
share
todos
this
ustedes.
forum with you
Muchas
all.
gracias, director general,
Thank you, General Director and the team of AICA, friends from AICA, and the forum
una parte importantísima
where
y de dominio.
there is an important part of the expertise and domain of agro-food and rural territories of Latin America and the Caribbean. Thank you for the opportunity to share ideas. I have to mention the most simple thing,
Hablar de cosas genéricas
which
y
is to
luego
talk about
ya
generic matters. After that, the AICA team will discuss concrete matters.
tenemos 20 minutos
So we have 20 minutes
compartir con ustedes.
to share with you.
Te pido que si llegamos a los últimos 5 minutos,
If please let me know when I only have 5 minutes
voy a pasar de los
remaining.
generales a lo particular.
I'm going to go from general to particular aspects.
Difícil hacer
It is difficult for me to do it in another manner. So I submit you to this itinerary.
Sí. Bueno, los
Well,
que voy a intentar compartir con
what I'm going to try to share with you is a reflection about the complexity of a change of the paradigm in the rural world, the need of knowledge and innovation, the importance of technologies, and particularly of AI in agriculture, and some reflections, some final reflections. First thing, I love to understand the context we are. We are on a change of paradigm, a deep change of paradigm. We experience this on a daily basis. The concept of life cycles is anchored in any decision. The complexity of the rural and urban world, the persistent inequalities, the mega fires, society of knowledge, deterioration of resources, and everything. Whenever I have the opportunity to share ideas, add one or two other uh, gaps because we are on a complex situation and we need to design new working flows, new tools to be able to do this. A very important element is that besides this complexity, criteria, the metrics of measure of what we have to do have getting complicated, not only the level of the rent, but the education, community, health, and others. I mean, changing paradigm, a complex paradigm in need of new metrics. So this led us to the fact that we need to to make a set of transitions: green, digital, social, cultural, and territorial, and we also have to do it in harmonically. So, so the my conclusion is that we need knowledge and a lot of knowledge. This has been said by first level thinkers such as William Shakespeare or Heraclitus. In the book of Cleopatra, Mark Antony, they say something like, in nature's infinite book of secrecy, little I can read. This is a cure of humility for those of us who are dedicated to our global world in culture, technology. So the rural world and agricultural complex, and you only have a first approximation, and be careful. Nature loves to hide, as Heraclitus says. Otherwise, we are capable to destroy it in 1 minute. I mentioned this as sort of a cure. We have learned some things. The agri-food value chain has to be sustainable if you want healthy and safe food, energy efficiency, and sustaining values. So the creation of shared values, territorial cooperation, and so on. And we know that we can advance permitting all these chains, permitting them with technology, particularly and more recently with the data availability, and particularly with the cognitive techniques. From all these techniques, probably the biggest change we can expect that it comes from the intelligent matter cognitive technologies that are just by recognizing patterns and use them for better decisions. The experts coincide in this. The cognitive techniques are there and will be a radical change in that regard. No, more concretely, talking about AI, since half of the previous century, the AI have many algorithms and mathematical development, many elements that have become words such as machine learning and deep learning as automatic learning and deep learning. Basically, I don't want to be theoretical in that regard, but one of the biggest progress made have been made using complex algorithms and particularly the neuronal networks. More classically, neuronal and convolutionals. This is a layer of variables related between them with different weights, and that led us to analyze complex systems of information. And more recently, they have an important moment, what we may consider as generative adversary networks. That means that two typologies of smart approximate combat between themselves and get the most solid thing and the least solid thing. Recently, there have been a very important progress of AI,
procesamiento del lenguaje natural, nueva infraestructura de datos,
processing of natural language, computing, and for the image processing,
nueva aplicación.
and many new applications that are allowing to think another way to understand and another way of understanding and knowledge in that regard. What happens in agriculture? Well, the estimation indicates that AI will increase the efficiency of agriculture and will mitigate or will let us to have to mitigate climate change and to understand the challenges. Nowadays, in 2025, AI is permeating any aspect of agriculture, of the agri-food value chain in the rural world for monitoring purposes and to check pests and diseases, plant and animal health, how robots are being included in many aspects, how we are developing systems for decision for smart or intelligent decision making purposes. Nobody discussed this. I mean that AI is permeating everything and it is being used with greater or less accuracy. I'm going to try to summarize why the reason for AI and how this will be developed even more in an immediate future. So, quantitative and qualitative data are allowing new algorithms, new feelings, new sensations of decision, and so on. Scalability and value are obtained when designing a data spaces. I would like to stop for a while here because when we design a data strategy, the most important thing is to design that this data we're going to have a multiple use. They will have the capacity to support many cases of high value uses. This is what we are seeing in the public administrations, in the companies, in cooperatives with farmers. When we collect data, we have the obligation to add added value or share value and support different cases to create spaces of valuable data, and general use of AI is more than a technical challenge. It is a strategic, cultural, and operational challenge. The conclusion is that we are experiencing on a daily basis something that makes us to need a cultural change. There is a technical challenge, but the most important thing is the change of mindset, the combination attitude. Right now, we have a lot of data everywhere. To the left of the image, we have some of the satellite constellations. To the right, we have a project where we have been working for years, a project that collected data of the Internet of Things at the level of machines, animals, crops, the drones, multi-rotors, the spy drones, those that are 1,000 meters, 2,000 meters, satellite at 17,000 meters. We have even launched a CubeSat of 6 units that we have called Placero, and the constellations, of course. So definitely an important number of data, as we have never seen before. There has a cost of minimum use. I have included this as an example. This is information from a platform called Marine Traffic, and these are the flows of the vessels in the world, the flows of the vessels in the world. The importance for the international market of food, where they are, what are the channels being used every 4 minutes, any that must give anyone must give a signal using a GPS for safety reasons, but also for the potential use of this. Including this example, it is from the European Union. I apologize for that, but this is being shared with the countries in Latin America. I'm referring to the radical change of technologies in relation to the use of satellite data, particularly from the constellation of Copernic data. The last 6 months, there have been a radical change in technology, developing APIs that can reduce the cost of crop of all this. If the data are important for AI right now, this is more and more possible nowadays. in this concept. We have a new algorithmic dimension, the generative artificial intelligence. It is a type of AI that can create ideas and new content such as conversations, histories, images, videos, and music. An algorithm that makes a preview, a statistical preview of the new sign in language in drawing, and it is capable to generate new ideas and histories, images, and videos. In this image, I want to share with you that in the last 2 years there has been, and we are seeing on a daily basis, an explosion of generative intelligence. And these are some of those who have the broad language of the Chinese Republic are two. We have Kimi from Alibaba. We have the whole GPT sequence. We have Meta, Llama, DALI, Mistral, and especially or particularly platforms where we can use. So, what do experts say this regard? The experts of the Stanford University Center of AI question and weighted answer said that the trend right now is the boom of the AI systems, the collaborative AI systems. So we have sort of virtual agents, constellations working on a collaborative manner between themselves, distributing tasks and so on. And the academic says, listen, Mr. Developers of algorithms, we need to make the action of AI more symbiotic with the human intelligence. Everything is human intelligence, artificial as well, because it is designed by humans. I want to refer to the progress, to the algorithm progress. And the last year, most labs in the world are recreating the way of this generative intelligence. So now they are imposing what we call the reasoning hierarchical models. Is what we humans do with the brain. First, to go general, and we understand the context, and then we make little details to explain particular processes. This implies a utility of simplification of computing, which is huge. Every day, every week, we are having new models with this new approximation of hierarchical AI. What new fashions do we see? Systems of AI are being designed. Those that do not need trillions of data to be useful in the process of improving the decision-making purposes and mechanisms allowing to train these models with very few data are being developed. In the offer that exists, there are large companies and small ones are developing synthetic models and I will refer to this later because of the importance in this forum. The project of AI that are compact that can be computed in the computer and in the corresponding server. I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna stop a little bit here. I understand I'm doing well with the time. My apologies for going so fast, but the most pertinent for this, for me, in my view, is what is being provided by the small language model, the small models. Why? First, because of efficiency, they do not require the computer power the LLM required. This is with limited resources, smartphone, tablets, or IoT devices. Secondly, for the accessibility, you can implement a high range infrastructure. They are ideal for implementations, for local implementations. They can be personalized. We can specify these constellations of agents. We can have a series of specialist agents. The inference is faster, very low latency. When we are executing a simple model, the capacity of response is bigger. Definitely, what we are talking is about a good computer system. So knowledge, the knowledge that you have, those who know about agro, those who know about livestock, rural development, they are allowing that many of universes of people with domain expertise feel with capacity to make valuable contributions in that regard.
Now, just to explain this a little bit further, when we're talking about small language, we're talking about a part called the frameworks of inference. And there I am adding three Tensor, RTLLM, and a VLLM, and Ojama. They are three platforms, three working platforms that allow to incorporate in your personal computer that may be available, and this will allow it to run it locally. I have included some of the most important ones there. QueenWen is the one that has become a global standard, but there are others that are following it, like the Fini from JAMA, Exxon, that has led to more headlines in the summer from the LG Korean House. We have OpenLEM, we have Gemini 2, we have the V53 family. So it means that we can find tools for whatever uses we may need for our data to be confidential, for us to do contributions at the algorithm level and others. So I'm going to talk about general advancements of major importance in the agri-food chain. Jose Emilio, my apologies. Jose Emilio, yes, you have 3 minutes left. 3 minutes. Okay, so let me go faster. So definitely in this chart, you can see all the development of robotics of huge importance to do precision agriculture, and other generic elements have to do with permeated digital twins by AI. These are a trend, definitely, of huge use. Then the automation platforms that include also virtual agents like N8N or FlowWise 3.0. All of these we need to take into consideration. And let me finish by saying what is happening in Latin America with regards to all of this. Well, basically, each institution, people, person, agency need to take into consideration all of this. And we have some specific cases in Latin America, like the Latin American Index for AI. Now we're going to have the Brazilian AI Observatory, OBIA, the Latin American Open Data Initiative, ILDA, and the National Center of Chile. Those are just a few examples. Then we have the Competency Center for the Transformation of Digital Cooperatives of Family Agriculture, that's from ICA, and these are all other of the many available from different institutions. Karen just told me that my time is up, but the last report by ELIA, the Latin American Index for AI, has found 11 findings. The awakening of late adopting countries, open code, lots of data, but little availability, human talent, AI as citizen participation as an important activity in this sense. So I'm going to finish with this one and a quick comment. So where are we? I've called it the use and development of generative AI. So first we have utilization, transit of information to acting, multimodality. It's the same if it's text in any language, mental maps, infographics, images, audios. We're going to have mixed models. We're also going to have mixed models with open code and proprietary code. What matters the most is what you have and what you know. We need to identify and validate documentary sources. It is very important that the data we are entering in the head, so to speak, of these agents are validated sources that we have purged them and validate them. Cybersecurity, the development of APIs and NCPs, an open protocol that allows for different models to communicate with data sources. We need to transferring this intermodality, explainable AI, advanced agricultural robotics, and very important parts where is the domain knowledge, the engineering of questions, engineering of the prompt, curation of models, and computer in the edge. This is the transparency, incorporation of thought lines and mixed models are very, very important. We need to keep in conversation also ethics and myths. So we need to develop rules from the part of AI ethics to all the different rules that are being developed or laws developed in different places, including Latin America. I'm summarizing this with this person that has a huge backpack that is a technological debt. And this it doesn't have everything, but if we continue that way, we are going to take the left towards a precipice. If we take the right, at least this is my interpretation, we have a diamond in the raw that is artificial intelligence that will allow us to be present everywhere. So, and since this is something that is going to be covered by the Director General in the new IABA, definitely the AI strategy for agriculture and the agri-food chain and the rural development fostered by ICA is very, very important. The idea is position AI is a catalyst for sustainable development in the region, optimizing the AgTech ecosystem in a responsible and inclusive manner. Some final suggestions. I urge all of you that are here from different research centers that understand the agricultural sector and the territories deeply to develop spaces for federal data. Lots of things have been done. Then I urge you to participate actively in the strategy for AI in agriculture and the agri-food chain and the rural development that is fostering ICA to have this strategy that will depend on a collaborative and multiplayer approach. And it is important to include the private sector, the academia, the civil sector, and the final message. We should not just stay still. This year, the UN has declared 2025 as the year for quantic computing or quantic sciences. So it's going to is this is what we're going to find. We still do not have quantic generic computers. So we may have some in some countries, but it is important for the implementation of a quantum algorithms require experts not only in quantic science but also in agriculture. And the methods that we are using as a quantum inspiration are important tools until the quantum is available. So thank you very much for your attention. And if you have any questions, of course, I'm at your service. We have a permanent, intimate, very close relationship with ICA in every single aspect. So thank you very much.
Muchísimas gracias, don José Emilio.
So thank you very much, Jose Emilio, for your presentation. Thank you for letting us know about this new paradigm that definitely requires much, much knowledge and in which AI plays a key role in terms of efficiency for agriculture and the way we face challenges. Let me remind everyone who is connected online that you can ask your questions via the chat box in the lower menu on your screen. And while we leave the questions for a Q&A session, we would like to thank Mr. Jose Emilio for participating in this launching of this platform. And now we are going to do the official launch. I don't know if maybe you can show the screen.
Pueden ponerlo perfecto.
Perfect.
Bueno, muchas gracias de
So
nuevo.
thank you once again. I would like to tell you before we start with the presentation of the platform, tell you briefly about the context. This platform is framed within two initiatives. On the one hand, within the work plan, 2025 work plan of the Forum of the Americas for Agricultural Research and Technological Development, FORAGRO. This initiative is within Access 2 of the work plan, and this has to do with multiple meetings, discussions, not only by FORAGRO, but also its board of directors, and they have seek for a place where there can be horizontal cooperation for science, technology, and innovation. Without further ado, I'm going to give the floor to our next presenters. Oh, no, and also this initiative is also framed, as mentioned by Jose Emilio, by the artificial intelligence strategy for agriculture, supported by the Institute and other partners. So, without further ado, I'm going to give the floor to engineers Alex Siles and Giancarlo Corrales. Before that, let me tell you briefly about them. Alexis is a biosystems engineer from the University of Costa Rica. He has professional experience in project management, technical cooperation with an approach in bioeconomy, innovation, entrepreneurship, AI, and sustainable development. He has developed research, applied research on solid detection, AI, integrating science data, technical uh, technology in agriculture. He is a technical specialist in ICA's bioeconomies program and the Institute's bioentrepreneurship program. And Giancarlo Corrales, engineer Giancarlo Corrales is a specialist in ITC from the technology and ITC at ICA, and he has a strong uh, training from the University of Costa Rica as a computer engineer. He also has a master's in project administration and studies in education, and he likes exploring, analyzing information systems. So thank you very much for your participation here. I give you the floor. Well, thank you, Karen. First of all, good morning, everyone. Director General Manuel Otero, Emmanuel, Hugo, and other colleagues who are joining us today in the main headquarters, and also the people who are logged in. As Karen was mentioning, the idea here is to introduce the progress we've made in terms of the smart information manager, which will be based on the OPSA, which tries to generate a solution based on AI that obtains information that is dispersed and turns it into evidence or information that may help in the decision making process. So to begin with, if as an institution we want to lead science, technology, and innovation, we face a number of challenges when looking for information to support our research and make our decisions. So, first of all, we know that information is quite dispersed. Data comes from various sources with different formats, and therefore, this makes information quite heterogeneous. It also we also have a lack of comparability. It is not easy to compare information when it comes from different formats and different sources, particularly in terms of public policies. Also, the processing is quite slow because since there's a vast amount of information and this is done manually, it is quite slow. And also, this leads to a very slow update of OPSA. So, next to these challenges, we also have major opportunities supported by AI. And here we see this in three different pillars. First of all, automation of processes that are quite rigorous and repetitive, which will allow us for these processes to be done continuously without a human needing to do it. Then the AI, generative AI, that will process and classify information from trustworthy sources that we have already predefined. And in this case, what we want is for AI not to replace the human team behind this, but that it may strengthen its capabilities so that as specialists, they may dedicate their time to interpret and make decisions and act based on that information. So, very quickly, our objective is to transform information that is dispersed into comparable and useful information for STI. How are we going to do this? By classifying, extracting the information with AI, integrating it within OPSA, and we also want to promote a space that collaborates on the analysis and comparison of public policies for the support of ENIAS and other regional stakeholders and players in the decision making process. So, this smart manager will be divided by two layers. One is going to be for internal use, where we're thinking about the extraction of information, processing the information, and the other one is going to be done by ICA staff that will upload the information to OPSA, the external use to compare policies for ENIAS, and the virtual assistant for OPSA that Giancarlo will be explaining to you more in detail. So, starting with the information extraction for internal use, OPSA has been operating for several years as the leading platform to gather information, and it is available for the hemisphere. But that has led for people who upload the information already know what are the sites that need to be uh, visited, where is the relevant information that needs to be sought. So we take all this information and we automate it so that we can extract information from pages that we know that are rigorous pages and have technical validity. Also, this then leaves out lots of information that from sources that we might not know. So the tool also has the capability to extract the information from scientific databases so that we always have the latest articles based on keywords and other areas of interest that we have identified previously. Once all this information has been extracted, it is necessary to process it. And the tool also has this part. What we seek here is for the tool to extract all this information in raw and transform the data into information that may be used in a simple manner and that can be uploaded to OPSA. This is very important because the information may be uploaded to OPSA automatically. However, since ICA is a rigorous institution in terms of AI and others, we always seek to make sure that whatever is being uploaded is trustworthy information that complies with the institution standards. That therefore, the uploading of the information is still going to be done manually because we always have to have a technical human expert that makes sure that the information available in OPSA complies with everything that has been set forth. In terms of policy comparison, the idea is that in the space that we enable for ENIAS, they may compare policies of interest. Since this is all within the horizontal cooperation framework, the idea is for them to share their areas of interest and their policies. We have met with them previously. And with this information, we will enable a space where they can upload the latest policies that they are aware of based on their predefined areas of interest and compare them and analyze them. With this, we make sure that the policies are updated and that they are of interest for ENIAS, and they can be defined in multiple areas. There I wrote down a few like intellectual property, public-private financing, technology, the private sector, etc. That would be all I have to say. Let me give the floor to Giancarlo so he can explain to you a bit more about the virtual assistant. Great, excellent, Alex. So I would like to thank the opportunity to be able to share with you this information and explain to you what this virtual assistant for OPSA. OPSA has a very important and long-standing database of information for public policy. So the idea is to operate the website in a more transparent manner and find the information more easily, and then compare the different types of information that we have already there. So with that, we have started developing the development of a tool that allows to improve the experience of the user, and also we want to create a intelligent guidelines. So this virtual assistant will then help people access the information in the fastest way possible. So the idea is to obtain information in an easy way. Additionally, the main objective is for this to be a tool for the decision making process that may facilitate the use of the tool and the reservoir of information that we have, and to be able to generate some trends in the future, even. We have this by phases. Each of the tools will incorporate different functionalities in time. First, we have it allows to make a specific questions on the contents in OPSA. It would also allow to manage these queries intelligently. Then, what is the idea of all this? SLM based on specific questions. So the idea is for AI to, we would want to avoid for artificial intelligence to provide wrong answers. So we want to train it with a certain amount of a specific information. And if the agent does not have the information to answer, then it can say so, or guide people to ask who to guide the user to where it can ask, or he or she can ask. So let's say we go to ChatGPT or LLM, another tool. Sometimes we feel that it has not answered what we were asking, but it also always tries to answer. So with a small model, we have the advantage that we can train it so that it can ask questions so that we can orient the user on how to obtain the information. Also the idea is to have multimedia functions so that we can have text, images, or other formats, and to allow for the dissemination of information, like the last trends or the more requested policies, so that it can be done within OPSA's website. What is the vision towards the future? Well, the evolutionary approach, that is to grow in time with different functionalities, specific future capabilities, maybe to do comparison of policies, to look at future trends, and also processes. The part of processes has to be done in stages. This is a process that not only involves information technologies, but also reviewing the documents, the policies, to make sure that all the entries are pertinent and everything that the AI tells us responds to the needs of the users. Well, that would be all that I would have to say for now. And of course, I'm at your service for any sort of question. You can write your questions in the chat box or in the forum, and then we will answer them. Thank you, Alex and Giancarlo, for your presentation of this smart information manager from its internal use and external use, telling us about the characteristics of those tools that allow us to manage information in a better way, and that promotes a greater collaboration among institutions, be it INEAS or other research centers and other institutions of excellence that may be related to science, technology, and innovation. Let me remind you again that you can ask your questions and make your comments directly in the chat box, and here we're going to answer them during the Q&A session. Now, I have the honor of inviting Dr. Diego Flores Martinez from Agrosavia. Diego, good morning. It is a great pleasure for you to be here during our launching of the platform. Diego will tell us about the experience of the CRIS system, which is an AI-based agent. And before, let me tell you briefly about Dr. Flores. Dr. Diego Flores is a chemical engineer, master's in science in industrial engineering, MBA in digital transformation, and also manager of organizations. He is an associated researcher acknowledged by the Science and Technology Ministry in Colombia. He's also a leader of the research group in socioeconomic studies in AgroSavia. Among his different areas of research, we have knowledge management, information management, technology management, competitive intelligence, uh, science, geometry, etc. And he has more than 15 years in the design and development of methodologies for the planning of the agri-food sector. Diego, thank you very much for participating in this launching once again. We are very, very happy to have AgroSavia's experience. And now I give you the floor so that you can make your presentation. Thank you very much.
Perfect. Thank you, Karen. Greetings to the AICA colleagues and other representatives of INEA's institutions that are with us today in this important space. Can you see my screen? Yes. Thank you. As Karen mentioned, and in alignment with what Professor Jose Emilio presented, as well as the colleagues from AICA, in relation to the cooperation platforms, as well as information for decision-making purposes. AgroSavia in Colombia, we would like to share with you our experience in these three phases. I just mentioned with regard to data automation processes that will let us to have quality data available, a process of use in order to have to make an efficient exploitation of data and knowledge behind data, especially to generate things that make investigation processes and technology transfer processes more expeditious, and everything related to the augmentation expectations. So to go beyond the digital gap of the countries of the region, the idea is that this will get to our end customer or client, those producers of our family farming users. And these initiatives, and in tune with the presentation given by Professor Jose Emilio, we are on a paradigm transition. And not only to use these models of large data volumes, focused to manage and process a huge amount of data and have specific ways out according to the used protocols. But to start identifying these small models of specialized work, set of data more segmented. And that will make us to understand how AI and any other tool based on data leads to have a process where a producer face challenges on a daily basis for example, plant breeding, management of pests and diseases, the proper availability of agri-input. Under the best scenario, if there are efficient mechanisms of agricultural extension, and we have the technical assistance services with a large coverage in the territories, our farmers will face this along with the extensionists with his technical experience and technical knowledge. It may be a source of information, digital and physical, to support the recommendations made by the farmer. Something in some scenarios when the research centers have experimental units or presence in the territories that the farmer can work with the scientist, the agronomist, and they can have access to this information besides the experience and knowledge and scientific knowledge. The most recurrent case is our farmers cooperate between themselves when they do not have access to a series of technical assistance. Each one of these ways has a validity because the aim is to transform this knowledge into explicit knowledge, use knowledge from other sources to find solutions. And within this universe, as the AICA colleagues mentioned, the most reliable information is the one has gone through research processes, and they have had phases and stages. verifications that guarantee the quality of the information that we can use to solve a challenge. So from there, the importance for AI that we are starting to use or these assistants of digital research have a first guarantee, meaning that they will work on the information that has gone on a process of verification and validation from the design, from the validation of the result, till the result turns into an article that goes through a peer assessment. So from there, as a research institute, we use as a baseline our repository that is in Colombia and our system of management system that led us to understand and have a quick look segmented and integrated of the research process in Agrosavia from projects those who execute the projects and the results obtained. That led us, as the previous speaker mentioned, that led us to use AI to start using vectorization techniques, standardization, to be able to have a data model that assures interaction operability of the systems in the institution, and to be able to, through the design of protocols based on machine learning, training models to vectorize information, to be able to address the scientific knowledge that are on an article or on a text document, to generate the responses through protocols that led us to start having a specialized agent that can feed on the scientific knowledge and generate responses on a concrete language, but also by referencing the information sources. Part of the exit of the agencies, not only the generation of responses to your question, but that they reference how they build this segment. I give you information and reference for you to have more deeper responses. And I tell you, if you have an additional doubt, this is an expert you can get in touch to deepening in your challenge. In this case, the design we are developing, we have a pilot version. We are testing in order to have a release of the agents during the first quarter of 2026, 7 specialized agents. And with that, we can have a personalized version of operating only the agents. So if I have several visual types to the systematization of experience and to generate the learning continuity. Friendly user interface that could have access through digital devices, which is the most frequent farmers have. So as long as they are near internet connection points, they could use it. What you see in this presentation is the interface that could be connected from CRES system in order to make questions. Questions may be predetermined questions, questions that are developed as baseline, and or some instruction or specific elements on how to develop the question. So we give some protocols and routines for them to develop their small prompts to assure the truth. So unlike structure prompts that need to be concrete, the problem, the context of application, some parameters of interest to generate the response. So I'm gonna change. Let me see if we don't lose the image. Let me go to my browser. You should be seeing my from interface. This is the interface where we are building our agents of AI. What is the premise? The premise is that we have a model of knowledge management and innovation networks that group different productive systems. We have 7 networks. We have developed so far 2 agents, one for aromatic plants and legumes, and another for minor species and livestock. And they have 2 ways to generate interaction with the audience and the teams and the focus groups we have used for pilots. I can generate consultations of the information that is being processed by the system per a productive system or per agri-foods chain. If I want to check something about aliases, I click aliases and I click search. and it starts generating information about the productive system as long as it is available. So it gives me information of projects, experts, other sources of information. But this is what any system with the standardization does. So in the case of crucifers, search, start generating the information consultation. Just hold on. Or, for example, this is the information, the planted areas, production, publications related to the species, the projects, the experts, and the products of research. This is a regular consultation of any information system. But there's also the AI consultation. And in this case, the advantage is that we can use models of agents or AI models, LLM, that are supported. As in the case of Gemini, OpenAI, we can use it. But we have the base model, which is the plus, which is a local model of processing with LLM. In that case, the agent will only generate information and production of technical documentation defined as a baseline for each agent. In this case, as information for technical assistance. Okay, model productives, charts, leaflets, and technical documents with research support, but with a process to put it into a language with technical elements for an audience that is not an expert audience. The advantage of this type of content is that we're going to generate an answer that could generate to an extensionist, technical assistant, producer. For example, as I said, there are predetermined questions. For example, in the case of pests and diseases, I may take one of these here. What are the most common pests that affected the bean? I'm going to change here the most common pests that affect carrots. So start working on the model of AI, but according to the documents that are on a server. So start checking the documents available. The advantage of working in a document, as Aika colleagues mentioned, is that we will minimize hallucinations because we are saying, this is your line of knowledge and you need to generate a response on this. As a research institute, we generate new knowledge and new publications. Knowledge is going to be more robust, but the same component will be accessible. So this is a content generation. So in the case of the carrot, the white fly, in case of fusarium and infectations by nematodes, and it gives elements on how should be done to mitigate the pest aspect. It says the references that we use to develop these answers are these ones. So it will generate a warning. If you need more detail, check the references. If you're a producer, you can check this with your technical assistant. We cannot lose the value and the power of natural intelligence of our technical experts. And also, it says those are publications you can check. You can have access to the full text. You can have access to some expert related to the thematic area. It's give you the link of the profile of the expert and the email. And it mentions some other allies. For example, if people know that Agrosavia work with the National University in Pest and Carrots, so you can contact this ally and it links with other sources of information. Something projected for the future is to generate that you can send the same question to the expert and that the expert can answer. So to use this configuration network in order to have natural intelligence and AI, and that the answers of AI may have a validation of natural intelligence of technical experts. And it summarizes the answer here. So this is the functionality. If it was for livestock or same thing for bovine meat, for example, how to develop nutritional formulas or feed, nutritional feed, and the general topic gives answers as long as there is knowledge associated to the answer. This is an advantage. We have not investigated this problem, so it won't generate the information, but it let us to capture new research challenges. And this is what we wanted to share with you, the idea that these initiatives can be used to develop a global network of AI, Latin American AI, to exploit and use our knowledge for our own benefit as a region, as well as for the world. Thanks to the team and to the assistants.
Muchísimas gracias, Diego.
Thank you, Diego.
Su interesante presentación sobre el sistema CRIS.
So for interesting presentation and the CRIS system,
La verdad, apasionante entender
it is passionate to understand this specialized agent, reliable with information referenced and verified, and as you said, that eventually allowed consultations in greater detail to experts. And has the it arrives to extensionists and producers so we can combine AI and natural intelligence. Thank you again for participating in this launching. We have many questions. So we will start with the space for comments and questions. I also want to especially greet the General Director of CATE, Mr. Luis Pocasangre, who is with us today. Nice to see you. It's a pleasure to be here with you. Thank you. It is my pleasure. A very interesting activity. Do you have a comment, Don Luis? Yes, my comment is that I have worked for a long time with the systems of national systems of research, INEAS, INTAS, IDEAF in Latin America. And I see and I perceive that there is a lot of information generated in different production systems. And I really love the presentation made by our colleague from Colombia, from Agrosavia, because this is where we see the applicability of this using information. So I believe that the potential of AI is big enough, and I believe this is something we need to use the best possible manner. Therefore, I consider that there are two important topics. First of all, the verification of the information that will feed the systems, because if systems are fed with information that is not so real or true, results are not going to be the expected ones. And on the other hand, I consider important how we can work with a new generation of technical scientists trained, that need to be trained more. Because I believe that the training that can be developed once we have the models and the systems fine-tuned, I believe that it is going to be really important to transfer all this information to the producers or farmers. I feel those are steps that need to be taken. And I consider this event is a really important event that can indicate important status for agriculture. We are fully sure that this has an important impact. In CATI, we're doing this as well. We're generating a master's degree in partnership with a computer university that manages data with different technologies in order to implement the AI with the information we have generated for decades in different topics, in forest, in biodiversity, in sustainable agriculture, in climate change. So I believe that so many disciplines that exist, and artificial intelligence can be applied in all of them. That's great. I believe there are many things to learn.
Muchísimas gracias, don Luis, por su
Thank you
comentario.
very much, Luis, for your comments and ideas with regards to what we're talking about today and AgroSabia's example. We have a question here about how possible is it for ICA as a hemispheric agency to create agents or AI assistants, LLM or SLM, that may support governmental people in charge of assessment of biotechnological, chemical, and other areas, knowing that there are now toxicology experts or doctors in the government, and also everything that has to do with confidential information or any ideas of how to train the models or background information on how to train the models. Well, I'm going to start and then I'm going to give the hardest part to Giancarlo and also to our friend Jose Emilio. This is a key topic for the strategy that we're developing. So I confirm the request by Dr. Guerrero that you need to participate in the development and construction of the strategy because it's not going to be a single strategy, but we are going to try to create capabilities in people within the institutions in our countries to be able to, for them to have these capabilities. We can develop these tools. That's not a problem. And the invitation is for all of us to develop them together so that this is not just done downwards, but a collaborative and constructive issue. Dr. Pocasangra and Jose Emilio and the other colleagues, Alex and Giancarlo, talked about the importance of data. It is very important. It is key to have quality data. If we do not have quality data, and Dr. Diego Flores also mentioned that, we cannot have quality outcomes. At some point, we will be able to substitute people. Well, I don't think so. Alex mentioned that. We are going to give people a different role so that they can have an added value and for these agents or assistants can comply with their role. But what matters is that we can develop them together, create them together. There's much experience out there. We also have the agreement with the University of Córdoba that has a chair on artificial intelligence that because they deal on a daily basis with this topic, and this is an opportunity that ICA has been developing together with them for many, many years. Let me give the floor to Giancarlo so he can fine tune the response a bit more. But from my perspective, is that we definitely can move forward on this topic. As Manuel was saying, yes, it would be a great pleasure to continue working on this type of tools. It is important to understand that the idea behind these tools is not to substitute people, but facilitate their work. So here we can make a combination, as Diego was mentioning, between natural intelligence and artificial intelligence. It means that artificial intelligence can help us make certain decisions and guide us, but the most sensitive parts, and when we're talking about input, agricultural input, and by chemicals and bio inputs, once AI has done its work, this can be validated by an expert. This is very important because it allows us to provide feedback to the system. We can tell AI that in some points it made mistakes and tell it what it made a mistake or where it made a mistake and include more information so that it won't make the same mistakes later on. So in this part, it is very important to understand this is going to be a joint construction effort that it will require a reviewing process, particularly in sensitive areas, and this will improve the tool constantly.
Don José Emilio, ¿usted
Jose
tiene alguna
Emilio, would you like to add something?
Seguimos adelante.
Or shall we continue? Well, I think
las propuestas que hacen como
that the
elementos sustantivos. Ya
proposals
se ha hablado
made so far are substantive. We have talked about the quality of the source. We talked about the previous and the latter purging or reviewing, and to develop this together with training to different levels that will be updated constantly. We are working with ICA in the development of said virtual agents. We have done one for coffee, another one for cooperative management. I don't know if Mario Leon or Jose Arce are logged in, but they may talk about this. I think this is quite a timely question in this regard. And I would just like to highlight what Manuel Picao said. Let's do this collaboratively. It is nice to develop a virtual assistant very quickly. It is always possible to do this quickly and without much care. But that's not what we need in Latin America and the Caribbean. The effort by AgroSavia of gathering, collecting information, and using its long dated know how is the right way to approach all this. Right now, we have tools, and I would insist, based on the forum where we are, that there is great potential for territorial and agricultural knowledge. I would try to develop constellations of agents and do this with languages that may be run or executed within local or edge computing. Because when we leave room in this construction of the language at the local level, we know, because we're living that on a daily basis, we get lots of initiatives of algorithms and participation, not only from agricultural and technological universities, but also from the companies. And this can be done together with cooperatives as well. And that is what is given the best results. And that's what we should be doing. Thank you. That's all, Karen. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you, Jose Emilio. Jose Emilio also talked about the territorial development program. Mario, would you like to say something about that? Thank you, Karen. Well, to be practical and short, in my answer to the question asked for ICA support in the development of virtual agents, yes, of course, since 2025, and under the guide of Dr. Jose Herrero, we have been developing, as he mentioned before, virtual agents for the coffee chain, for cooperatives, for territorial and family agriculture. This year, we worked with Honduras in the development of two virtual agents that have to do with forest area and also in the warm, the screw warm area. And we are concluding a technical cooperation with an agricultural bank for medium sized and small sized farmers in Paraguay in the development of these virtual agents. It is clear that for the development of these tools, it is necessary to generate this collaborative space and to have the exchange of technical and analytical knowledge with the colleagues who use the tools in the digital platform so that the product is as effective as possible and may respond to the needs. We will continue forward with this technical cooperation, so definitely we can continue supporting you in this sense. Well, thank you very much, Mario. Greetings to our colleagues in Orton Library, Katy. The question is for Dr. Diego. How did you work the part of copyright? At some point, did you work with blocked documents with certain rights? I would like to know about the information available in the reservoir, and can you please give information about the library? I would also like to know what operational language Chris uses. Well, thank you very much for the information, for the question. As I mentioned during my presentation, the advantage that we had is that the knowledge that was generated by AgroSavia already had a quality verification process and had already been verified in terms of copyright. So the agent was fed with information that was available publicly and had all the necessary rights. So there were no limits in terms of the use of information. And also, in terms of copyright, the segmentation made by people generates a reference. The first was to generate the references so that we can get the chunks of text at the end. But the version that we are updating is that for each of the text segments to identify where the information was obtained so that we can have that good referential practice so that it can be good for the institution. And so since there may be a perception of digital self plagiarism in the use of this information digitally. So, to generate information of the researcher that is being referred to, the idea is to have and use the internal data so that we can give more visibility to the scientists and connect the scientists to the communities. So, there we have the personal data included as well. Something important is that the tool is being uploaded with content that has already undergone a purging process. So there's been a final report. This is an article, preprint, for example, is not included because we cannot guarantee that it has been checked with regards to being quality checked by third parties. Now, in terms of the library, the system is th- something that binding. So this is a free reservoir of information available nationally and internationally for consultation. We have the protocols, the Unicode, to have the right metadata. And our system, Chris, the one you're seeing, was developed in C language with interfaces, visual interfaces. But underneath that, we used OpenAI, DeepSeek, and LLM Studio so that we could develop the entire script and the modeling of data processing. The CRIS system, which is the one that pulls information, which is an expert system, has two interfaces. One is public, that was done via an interface called Vivo, which is basically a shell where you can integrate the data and give it visibility to information, and the internal development handled here only with institutional access to the information that is done through the Siemens interface. And with the development of visibility with SQL servers and software integration softwares. I would like also to add to the previous topic and something that was mentioned by Professor is that if we develop robust information that has adaptive and systems and that share this information, we're going to have things that may start from INEAS. They will be the baseline. And each having a joint capacity that they can operate. And we already have a competitive computer capacity. So this will help us develop an LLM model for Latin American agriculture with the right scientific and technological capacity from our researchers. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Diego, for your answer. Don Jose Emilio, you have your hand raised.
Es simplemente si
Yes,
había oportunidad.
just if there was a possibility.
Está planteando Diego
What Diego is mentioning, I would like to rescue the last part.
la corriente, las expectativas que hay más que
The expectations that are given by results is to work, as Diego says, to work in constellations. So it's like an orchestra director where the director distributes our task on real time. We have virtual agents that are experts, and only if we need dimensional models for crop estimates of quality, we call the agent. So we are developing more and more specific APIs to call on a virtual agent as well as to invoke the data ecosystems. And most modernly, with the contextual models, the MCD.
muy importantes.
They are very important because,
Quiero resaltar
and I would like to highlight that
ese conjunto de
this set of permanent innovations requires a collaborative work. So I don't know if Emma would like to illustrate us some more or not, but
semanas trabajando
they have been working for months and weeks in having a
estrategia común.
sufficient document of this strategy that includes all these things. For example, the development of digital transfer with the agent, a series of matters that, as Diego says, the domain expertise in different countries, we are in conditions to make a pertinent cure and to put in value and share value everything that has been done. I remember data, but you can correct me. So I have 3,200,000 bibliographic references that are being used with systems, and they are embedded in the same process Karen mentioned. OPSA in the generic sense. So we need to contribute with all these matters and to start working in that regard. I understand, Emma, and I don't know if you have mentioned this. My apologies for the reiteration, but could you encourage us because it may be absolutely exponential. The information that has been accumulated to put it in low cost for crop. I have tried to say this, although very quickly, computing on board is allowing more opportunities to develop joint solutions. And I conclude with this. The most important thing is the workflow, not the tool, not so much the tool. I am in this on a daily basis. You change, and we see how this is automated with virtual agents, but from the point of work, excuse me, Emma, to call you is like you for a databases. 1 minute ago, I requested the floor. So this meeting has been a very timely meeting because tomorrow at 10 a.m., and you are invited. If you want to participate, hopefully you will have time. We're going to make the first meeting of experts of artificial intelligence to start to continue building, the strategy of AI of AICA. It's not AICA, it is the country members of AICA, or countries in America. So all of you are invited. If you want to participate, you can tell us in the chat box, and we sent you the invitation. This constellation, Diego, is part of our dream. If we build it together, here you have several hands and several arms to move on. And I also want to say, because we have talked a lot about technology, and this is said by a technologist, technology is very important, but it is not the most important thing. The most important thing is what Diego said, as well as Jose Emilio, Alex, Giancarlo, the General Director, and Katia Don Luis, data. We may have constellations. We can even have agents in different technologies. But what matters is what we're going to go through these veins data. If we have good quality data, accurate data, we have this expert valuation is vital, and this is what sets the difference. So again, we have been working a lot on this strategy. Mario is part of this process, and he is from AICA. It is from AICA, from all of us. So we invite you. It is a dialogue, a conversation like this one. So what we want to do is that you check the document, that we check it, and we improve it all together. So I'll stop here. Thank you, Emmanuel. We have other questions, but because of time reasons, I'm going to give the floor to Mr. Hugo Chavarria, manager of the Innovation and Bioeconomy program, for the closing remarks. Thank you, Karen. Thank the organizers. Thank the team, Alex, Bianca, Andres, Emmanuel. To those who have participated today, Diego, thank you. The discussion has been a pretty good discussion. A couple of comments only, reiterating what the General Director said. We have comparative advantages that as a region, we have not been able to turn into competitive advantages. We are the most mega diverse region of the world, the one that produces more biomass. But we have not making good use of that. We are exporting commodities mainly, little value aggregation, high residues and waste. So that's why we said it is a comparative advantage that we have not turned into a competitive advantage. And we have seen several technology scientific borders. We have not taken advantage of it. Now with AI, we have the possibility at hand to be able to do that, to take advantage of our biologic wealth, our biomass productive capacity for a better use, to be more efficient, more sustainable, more inclusive. And this is part of what FORAGRO, and this is where Karen said, this is part of what we have tried to promote from FORAGRO. We are in conditions that are not equal conditions. Our tropical countries invest in science, technology, innovation, 1% of our agricultural GDP, while other countries invest, the developed countries invest 3%. So we do not have the capacity to import and adapt technology. So what we are doing is vital. And I'm referring to the fact that we are building together. We need to promote horizontal cooperation between countries, and we need to generate collaborative tools. And this is that we have tried to promote from FORAGRO. And this effort, the dialogues and initiatives are framed. Thank you very much. It has been of great usefulness. We know we are in the initial phases, but this will continue for sure. Thank you, and let's continue. Thank you, Hugo. And finally, we want to especially thank the speakers, Dr. Pocasangre, who joined our streaming. And we want to thank people that participated here in the room, people that logged from different parts of the hemisphere, and appreciation to AICA colleagues that made this lunch possible as best as possible. Thank you. Have a nice rest of the day.
Muchas gracias.